Okay students, I welcome all of you in this lecture, and as I have told you that in this lecture I will be discussing something about computer program, about the softwares, hardwares and firmware. So first of all, we will try to define a computer program. Computer programs are nothing but a set of instructions that you may call as the smallest unit of execution that are used to execute two particular tasks to get a particular result. In other words, you can say that the set of instructions used to perform a specific task to obtain a specific result is termed as computer program. The first digital computer designed with internal programming capacity was the Baby, constructed in Manchester in 1948. Computer programming is the process of writing a computer program. Languages like Ruby, Ada, COBOL, Fortran, C, C++, Java, and Python are examples of various programming languages. Integrated development environment is a digital platform where the computer programs are written, compiled, and executed. Now we come to the second component, that is known as computer software. A software is a broad term for a collection of various programs running on a hardware. The operating system is a software product that provides overall control for computer hardware and application. The software resides on disks and is loaded into memory when it is required. Software is broadly classified into two categories: system software and application software. A system software operates the system in the background. The system software has no interaction with user. I mean, it's a direct interaction with the user. Application software run in front end, and according to the user's request, it serves as an interface between hardware and the end user. So mainly the system software is meant for controlling the hardware devices, while application software are the main software using which a user can perform various tasks. You can see here the hierarchy, which is on the right side of the fan. You can see at the topmost level is the user. User directly interacts with the application software, and whatsoever signals are there, they are directly sent to hardware with the help of operating systems. The hardware performs the actual tasks, gives back the result to operating system, which is passed on to the user through application program. So this is how the actual transmissions, or can say actual process which takes place. Whenever it comes to the classification of various kinds of software, you can see in the chart that the softwares may be application software, system software, or you can call it other category in the development software. So under the category of application software, we do have various word processing softwares, presentation softwares, spreadsheet softwares, database management systems, desktop publishing related softwares, multimedia softwares, communication softwares, graphic softwares, and like that. While in the system software category, we do have utility programs. Various utility programs are there. We will discuss in latter part of our lecture today. Operating system in itself is the example of system software. Various device drivers, which are actually softwares basically, which makes the various kinds of devices usable or makes happen to communicate with other parts of the computer. It allows the input-output devices to communicate with programs and other system components. Operating systems basically sometimes consist of two components: shell part and the kernel part. We will discuss both these parts in the latter part of our discussion. Under the category of development software, several softwares are there which helps you to develop a program or a software basically. Say for example, compilers, interpreters, editors, debuggers, IDE. These are the example of the development software. If you would like to have a comparison between system software and application software, you can easily compare these things. System software are mainly designed for managing system resources, while application software are designed to accomplish various tasks for specific purposes. Programming of system software is very complex. If you want to develop a system software, it is a very complex task, while programming of application software is comparatively easier. A computer cannot run without system software, while a computer can easily run without application software. Application softwares are mainly installed to perform various tasks as per the user's requirement. System software do not depend on application software, while application software fully depend on system software and cannot run without the presence of system software. We can classify the system softwares in the following way as well. Here is some of examples are given over here. You see here, software may be defined as a system software or softwares can be defined as a system software and application software. And here are some examples which are given over here. System software may be operating systems, utility programs, library programs, or programming language translators. They are called as system softwares, while examples of application softwares are general programming application software, specific programming application softwares, bespoke application softwares. Examples of operating systems may be Windows operating systems, Linux operating systems, Android operating systems, Mac operating system, or iOS operating system. Utility programs, examples of utility program may be some WinRAR or WinZip, where we compress the file, which is used for compressing the files, Avast, DXDice, antivirus. These are examples of utility programs. While we do have certain library programs and programming language translators, assembler, compiler, interpreter, they are some of the examples of programming language translators. Similarly, under the application software, various kinds of application softwares are there. General programming application softwares may be there, specific programming application softwares may be there, bespoke application softwares may be there, and we have in the previous slide we have already seen various examples of application software. After knowing about the general, after having about the general discussion about system software and application software, we come to a specific part that is known as operating system. So this is a system software. It's an example of system software, and an operating system basically is the system software that manages the computer hardware and software resources and provides the user a common service for computer program. Microsoft Windows is a product line of proprietary graphical operating system developed and marketed by Microsoft. Some of the examples of various versions of Microsoft Windows is XP, Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.9, 10, Windows 11. So these are some of the examples of various versions of Microsoft operating system. Similarly, we do have Android applications, Android operating system. So these are mobile operating system based on a modified version of Linux kernel and other open source software designed primarily for touchscreen mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets. Mac OS is another example of operating system. Originally, Mac OS X, previously shortened as OS X, is an operating system developed and marketed by Apple since 2001. It is the primary operating system for Apple Macintosh computers. iOS is a mobile operating system developed by Apple exclusively for its smartphones. It was unveiled in January 2007 for the first generation iPhone launched in June 2007. It is the operating system that powers many of the company's mobile devices, including the iPhone. Linux is another example of operating system. It is a generic name for the family of open source Unix-like operating system based on the Linux kernel. An operating system kernel first released on September 17, 1991 by Linus Torvalds. So this is based on community development, and we have various versions of Linux operating system. You might have heard some of the names: Ubuntu, Red Hat, and these are some of the you can say symbols for these various variants of operating system, Linux operating system. Another category of the system program is utility programs, or you can say application program is utility programs. Utility programs help manage and tune a computer system for application software. They can help with a variety of tasks, including disk compression. You might have heard the name of disk compression softwares. What we do basically, these softwares reduces the amount of disk space needed to store data files. Compressed files also are transmitted faster over the network. So sometimes it is required that whenever you have to transmit a bigger file, you compress it using these utility files. WinR, WinZip files are there, WinRAR facilities are there. So using these utility programs, you can compress your file and you can transmit a shorter version or smaller version of the file over the computer network. Disk cleanup is another utility program. It removes unnecessary files like temporary files and internet cache to free up disk space and improves the system's performance. Sometimes you might have noticed that a lot of junk files are stored over the computer and they adversely affect the performance of the computer systems. So using this disk cleanup utility, you can remove these or such kind of files, unnecessary or unwanted files, and you can and in turn you can improve the system performance. We do have file management utility, which helps you to browse, search, arrange, find and preview files on your computer. You might have the folder files are there, file managements are there. So using this utility, you can manage your files on the computer. Another very important system utility tool is their disk fragmentation. They rearrange the files on the disk to make them more contiguous, which can reduce access speed and save time when reading and writing. Here in the adjoining picture, you can see over there the dots line. The dots line are showing you that all the files are not contiguously stored basically. So they try to arrange the files in a more contiguous manner so that the read and write operations can be performed efficiently. This utility is known as disk defragmentation, and thereby using this utility basically helps us in improving the performance of the system. Another utility is their system tune-up. They can help remove temporary files. They can help in fixing the registry issue and improve the startup processes. Security helps us to protect against threats and viruses. You might have heard the name of such type of utility files which are provided as part of the operating system, and you can use these files for protecting your system against threat and viruses. Another very important utility tool is there, which is known as data backup. They helps you to back up your old data. So you just see here, it is different from copying a file. You can back up the data and you can restore it back to the system whenever it is required. So it is different from copy file. Data recovery is there, which helps you to recover the lost data. Sometimes it happens due to any reason that your system may get crashed and your data gets lost. So under these circumstances, we do have a utility file, utility tool is there basically, which helps you to recover your lost data. So these are some of the discussion related to computer program software. Under these software heading, we have seen application software and system software, and we have seen a lot of examples as well. Now we are moving back to the computer hardware. Once after knowing the computer software, we are moving to the next discussion, that is known as computer hardware. So hardware is a general term used for various physical components of the computer. They include all the parts or physical parts of the computer, maybe inside the case or outside the case. So say for example, inside the case we do have CPU, hard disk, driver, graphic card, sound card, RAM, power supply unit, motherboard, etc. While outside the case we do have monitor, keyboard, mouse, speaker. So they are all example of computer hardware. We will have a brief look on various components of the computer hardware, or which makes basically a computer system. SMPS in short, which is the switched mode power supply, is an electronic device that converts electrical power in a computer. to digital signals basically, or to digital. And SMPS uses switching devices that are turned on and off at high frequencies along with storage components like capacitors and inductors. It converts power from an AC or DC source to DC loads like a computer battery. Another example of computer hardware is DVD-ROM. So a DVD-ROM is a driver that allows a computer to read and write to DVD-ROM disks. It is a read-only data storage device and that cannot be modified after the data is written. Motherboard is another example of computer hardware. It is the main printed circuit board in general purpose computers and other expandable systems. It holds and allows communication between many of the crucial electronic components of the system, such as the central processing unit and memory, and provides connector for other peripherals as well. CPU is the main component on the motherboard, and as I have already told you that it is also called as the central processor or main processor or just processor, is the most important processor and the most important part in the given computer. Its electronic circuitry executes instructions of a computer program such as arithmetic logic unit, controlling and input and output operations. A CPU fan. So a CPU fan that cools the CPU of the computer. The CPU is the main microchip in a computer and does most of the processing work. As the CPU works, it generates a lot of heat, and a CPU fan helps to dissipate this heat and helps us to cool down the system and maintain the proper temperature of the computer so that the computer keeps on operating. RAM is another example of the hardware. RAM stands for random access memory, is a computer's short-term memory. It is the hardware that stores data that the processor is currently using, such as the operating system, software programs, and files that are open. They reside on the RAM. A VGA card or video graphic array card is a type of video card that connects a computer's video output to a monitor or TV. VGA cards are also known as graphic cards, display cards, or graphic adapters or video adapters. They help us in improving the video quality of or the display of the pictures or videos on the screen. A sound card is a computer component that adds audio capabilities to a computer by converting audio signals between analog and digital forms. A hard disk, also known as hard disk drive, or simply it is called as HDD, is a physical device that stores digital data on a computer. All-in-one reader. You might have seen this plug and play card reader which connects to a PC to enable the reading and writing of data from nearly any type of media card to and from a PC. It is compatible with several devices like SD, HDSC, and MS Pro memory cards. A USB 3.0 hub enables high-speed data transfer, which is 10 times faster than USB 2.0. A computer monitor is another example of computer hardware and is an output device that displays the information from a computer in the form of text, images, or videos and graphics. It is also known as a visual display unit, or in short, VDU. Some important type of monitors which has been used in the computer industry are liquid crystal display, cathode ray tube, which is known as CRT, LCD with fluorescent backlight, LCD with LED backlight, plasma screens, and OLED, which is organic light emitting diode. We will see these kind of displays very briefly. Basically, we'll discuss. So first is liquid crystal display, which is simply known as LCD. So liquid crystals are fluid material that are made of liquid crystals which act like a cluster of tiny shades that convey or block light. A backlight or bright light source is located on the backside of the screen, which sparkles with the help of LCD and creates thousands of tiny dots of RBG, red, blue and green, that generate a color picture. We are unable to see the backlight directly as it is situated inside the display. It is only filtered with the help of an LCD panel. You can see here in the right side of the screen, an example of liquid crystal display has been shown. Another example of the type of computer monitor is CRT, cathode ray tube. In 1990s, CRT technology was used by nearly all computers display, video screens and television sets. A cathode ray tube is a thick vacuum tube containing a flattened screen on one end with the phosphorus covering on the interior. For producing a glow within the vacuum, a beam of electrons from a hot metal filament screen strikes the phosphorus at the end opposite side of the screen. For checking over and down the screen, an electronic controlling component bends the beam that scans the screen at the downside, which leads to an arrangement of visible images on the screen. Here is the picture of a CRT. Basically, you can see here the filament is there, cathode, and inside that we do have the cathode. A beam is emitting from there and it is being projected on the fluorescent screen. Although CRT offers high quality image, LCD and other unused innovations have driven the cathode rays tube obsolescence because they are more secure and much lighter in sight. Another example is LCD with fluorescent backlight. A fluorescent lamp which produces a bright white light is used by some LCD displays. It is cheaper, thin and lightweight. The small amount of mercury vapor are contained by fluorescent on the downside. Application of mercury does not create any serious health related problems. LCD with LED backlight. LED backlight utilizes light emitting diodes rather than a fluorescent lamp, which LED backlight is a newer technology for LCD display. Although the LED does not use mercury, it produces white light. Plasma screens are another type of display. Plasma screens produces a high resolution image as they contain tiny gas capsules in form of grid which shines much like a neon sign. The 3-pixel colored, commonly known as RGB, are combined by plasma display screens in order to form the whole range of colors, which is much richer color as compared to CRT or LCD shows. However, due to battery life concern, LCDs are more energy efficient while comparing with plasma screens. Nearly all laptops computer do not use plasma technology and they use the LCD screens. With most plasma screens, image quality helps to justify the greater energy consumptions. They come in the 40-inch or 60-inch size range. Here is some of the pictures of plasma screen you can see over here, and some internal construction of or schematic matrix of electrode configuration in an ACP PDP has been shown in the right side in the picture. And lastly, we will discuss under this category organic light emitting diode, or simply known as OLED. The OLED screen does not require a backlight and they produce their own light. It is superficially similar to LCD technology. Due to this advantage compared to LCD, OLED displays can be much thinner in size. Also, OLED helps to enhance battery life in mobile devices as a backlight consumes significant amount of energy. Additionally, the working lifetime of OLED is currently not good as compared to LCDs, but their image quality is very good. After discussing about the display unit, we will have a discussion on firmware. So firmware is a software that is semi-permanently placed in hardware. It does not disappear when the hardware is powered off and is often changed by special installation process or with administration tools. The memory firmware's uses are very fast, making it ideal for controlling hardware like ROM, PROM, EPROM, and EEPROM. A software or firmware upgrades makes a permanent change, usually an improvement in features, performance, or to correct errors. There are three types of firmwares generally. One is known as low-level firmware, high-level firmware, or subsystem firmware. You can see here in the adjoining picture, you can see the operating system is there, which directly communicates with the PC hardware with the help of BIOS, basic input-output system, which is an example of firmware. So whenever you purchase a new computer where operating system is not installed, and as all of know that without an operating system, no computer can work. The computer is not workable. So what are the components which makes the computer usable so that for the first time the operating system can be installed on that, and that is this firmware, BIOS, basic input output system is there. Using this BIOS, you can install operating system on the computers, and once the operating system is installed, they provide a very good working environment for the users. ROM is an example of firmware. ROM stands for read-only memory, which is a type of computer memory that can only be read from, not written to. As the name suggests, read-only memory is a non-volatile memory, which means it retains data even when the computer is turned off. ROM shares data that is rarely changed, such as startup programs and firmware. ROM is part of the BIOS chip, which is located on the motherboard. ROM is generally slower than RAM but faster than a hard drive. Some types of ROM include PROM, which stands for programmable read-only memory, EPROM means erasable programmable read-only memory, and EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable ROM. PROM stands for programmable read-only memory, and it is a type of non-volatile computer memory that is used to store programs and firmware. Unlike a standard ROM, which has data permanently written, PROM allows you to write data to it once. Once data is written to PROM, it is permanently stored and cannot be changed. PROM is often used in hardware programming. The required content file can be equipped by user and then inserted within a given machine during the fabrication of the initial chip. There are fuses at all the programmable associations which can be blown when the association is no longer required. EPROM is a type of computer memory chip that can be erased and reprogrammed. EPROMs are non-volatile. EPROMs are often used in microcontroller such as the basic input-output system that is known as BIOS that starts up a PC. EPROM are erased using ultraviolet light. The top of an EPROM package has a transparent window that allows UV light to reach the silicon chip inside. EPROM can be programmed using a PROM programmer or PROM burner. One disadvantage of EPROM is that you cannot delete individual data. You have to delete the entire set of data. This can be a problem if you have important data that you don't want to lose, so it is a good idea to keep a backup. EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. George Parligos invented EEPROM at Intel in 1978. EEPROM is a type of non-volatile memory that is used in the computers. EEPROM retains data even when the computer is turned off, unlike volatile memories like RAM, which loses data when there is no power. EEPROM can be electrically erased and reprogrammed by applying a higher electrical voltage, making it flexible for frequent updates. EEPROM is often integrated into microcontrollers such as those found in smart cards and remote keyless system. It can also be used as a separate chip device. Here we do have a comparison chart between hardware, software and firmware. So dear learners, you can go through these information which is available over here. So we do have basically a summary sort of thing. Hardware is a physical component of the system that the software and firmware run on and which may wear out over time and require replacement. While software is a set of instructions, data or user programs used to operate computers and execute specific tasks and that are designed to be updated often by those users. Firmware is a set of instructions of programs written in machine language which is designed to act as intermediary between the software and the hardware. Hardware can be modified easily by the user through replacing the components. Software is written in the normal assembly language of the computer or using the high-level programming language as well. It is one type of software that is written in machine language. Hardware is referred as the body of computer, instrument or devices, while the software is stored in the computer's normal memory, RAM or on disks, etc. Firmware is a software that is semi-permanently placed or stored in the hardware. Programs are required to run the hardware. It is also instructions or user programs itself, while the firmware is the program itself. Hardware is the physical component that are most permanent, while software is the most temporary and malleable. Firmware is a semi-permanent software that is tied more directly to the hardware and are updated less often. Example of hardwares are computer processing unit, random access memory, hard disks or HDD, computer adapters, cards, Ethernet cables, etc. While examples of software may be internet browser, operating system and antivirus. The example of firmware are the basic input-output system which is known as BIOS and extensible firmware interfaces that is known as EFI, and embedded systems are the very good example of firmware. Here we can see from this block diagram that at the core or the center or the lower level is the hardware, which only understands the language of binary language, or you can say the digital or the binary language or language of 1 and 0. Above that we do have the firmware. One level up we do have the assembler. Above that we do have the kernel and then the operating system. And at the topmost level we do have the application program. Users or we basically interact with the hardware with the help of application programs. So whatsoever instructions are there, we pass on the instructions to the machine through the application program, which is first interpreted by OS, goes to kernel, from kernel it goes to assembler, and from assembler it goes to firmware, which converts that instruction in such a language which could be understood by the hardware, and the hardware accordingly sends back the response to the firmware, assembler, kernel, OS, and then it comes to application program, which is then communicated to the user. So this is how the things work in case of a computer system. Firmware basically is a type of software that provides basic instructions for how a device hardware operates. Firmware controls how a device starts up, communicates with hardware components, and interacts with the operating system and other software. Firmware is stored permanently on a dedicated chip within the device itself. Firmware includes BIOS, that is known as basic input-output system, and extensible firmware interface, that is known as EFI, which are used by computers, mobile phones, tablets to upload their operating system. Manufacturers occasionally release firmware updates to fix bugs, enhance functionality, and to address security vulnerabilities. Firmware updates are essential for maintaining a device's optimal performance and security. It enables hardware like camera, mobile phones, network cards, optical drives, printers, routers, scanners, and television remotes to function smoothly.